mapping guide follows a pattern where we have our introduction, like how Sekion provides you with tools, essential tools that aligns with cybersecurity initiatives to make it sure that you are compliant with various cybersecurity frameworks. We provide you with con- uh, various tools and technologies by integrating automated workflows, real-time insights, regulatory alignments into daily operations. And our AI SIM and AI XDR solutions help you meet these regulatory requirements without overwhelming your IT or compliance teams. So you guys heard Arga talk about CCF. So what is CCF? What is Common Control Framework? So Sekion's Common Control Framework is like a consolidation of various cybersecurity frameworks, basically where all of the controls within each cybersecurity framework are being mapped to a common set of rules and regulations, which helps us to be more efficient with making these frameworks being more compliant. Helps you relate each goal or regulation from CCF to various other cybersecurity frameworks. So cybersecurity framework for a CCF or common control framework is basically divided into three tiers. So each tier being people control, process control, and technology control. So people control are the controls that deal with your employees. So like training them, increasing their awareness, organizational structure, all of those fall under people control. Process control are the controls that deal with your rules and regulations within that organization. Like a person is or an employee is signing in at a certain time or signing out at a certain time, and those rules are being enforced. Those fall under process controls. Technological controls are more of a data or like technological centered controls. For example, your IT logs, your network logs, your user access logs, all those fall under technological controls. So with our platform and our centralized visibility and monitoring, we allow and collect and correlate data that has been collected through all of your machines for presenting you with a unified network oversight. We have our threat detection and incident response using our machine learning to identify anomalies within these logs that we have collected. We have continuous compliance reporting using our BI360 tool that Abhishek had a presentation on. We create a framework specific report
Oh,
that helps you
pelo
and
poder, meu amigo, is
the
warm as toast here.
auditor to
Mm.
show compliance with a certain framework. So let's talk about ISO 27001, right? So ISO 27001 is a cybersecurity framework that um, provides a systematic approach to managing information security, ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Each framework has their own sets of rules and regulation, and they all deal with a certain specific region within the cybersecurity um, globe in a sense, right? So, for example, this ISO 27001 is more of a general purpose cybersecurity framework, which deals with, like I said, managing information security, ensuring confidentiality and integrity. So, after that, we have our map. So this is the meat of the mapping guide, where we show like each section of within a cybersecurity framework, how many technological controls there are, how many we show within our report. So currently, using our BI360 tool, we can only show technological controls and the data and the logs that we have collected, and we can correlate and stuff. But as Arga mentioned in his slide and the roadmap, that we are working on a tool that can work in conjunction with our BI360 tool that allows the users to submit their documentations and any kind of proofs or logs or something that they have stored on their end, so that we can show compliance to the auditors. So for ISO 27001, these are the sections. So as you can see, also I'll explain it to you how the mapping is done. So ISO 20, this is a mapping table where each framework is divided in its sections. So like there's organizational controls, people controls, physical controls, and technological controls. These are the total number of controls. These are total number of technological controls. And these are the mapped controls. So you will see OC 5.7, which stands for organizational control 5.7, is being mapped to PS01 or DM02. So that helps us to create a standard KPI for each of these, and then we can allocate them to a framework specific report. For example, I'll give you a demonstration right here. So this is our framework based report. So we have an introduction to ISO 27001, a summary to for people to understand like what are the rules and regulation, what are the requirements for each framework. Then we have our summary, and we have this image. So you can, as Abhishek mentioned, demonstrated you, uh, we can also show images within the BI360 tool as long as you have the URI for the image. This is the mapping guide that was here. It's the same thing, just to keep it consistent before each report so that auditor and the user knows what they're trying to display. So now we move on to the report where we show the KPIs. So we have section. It's all, like I said, it's all divided by section. So ISO section 1, organization controls. And these are the KPIs. So these DM02 are made in these are based on CCF controls, but since we have mapped them here, you can be show that yeah, these controls are being correlated with this particular control in ISO. So for example, data inventory deals with any kind of data upload, download, any kind of modification to data. Those are the control. This is the KPI that shows any kind of logs that happen to that control. Multi-factor authentication, higher incident responses. All of these controls are related to organizations, right? So each section has their own set of theme, basically, where each section deals with a certain set of controls and certain requirements, and we show these KPIs and controls to satisfy those requirements and themes. So IM02, like changes made, any kind of change to notification, stuff like that fall within the purview of organizational controls. Then we have people control, so like prohibited activity, any kind of virtual private network access, so any kind of things that people themselves have act way of affecting. So those fall under people control. Technological controls like configuration management, making sure the configuration stays solid, there's no deviation, there's no anomaly. Endpoint detection. So all of these frameworks have their own sections. They are all set of controls that follow a certain theme. So yeah, this is our ISO report. This so KK
Just,
mentioned
just
HIPAA.
before
HIPAA
you,
is so
Nishant, just before you jump
yep,
into that, if you can go back to
yep,
the ISO one. So I wanted to
yep.
cover a couple of points there. Is that
Mhm.
no, this report is a dynamic report, it's not a static report. So based on the time frame selected on the top of or the right hand corner, as Nishant is pointing right now, we clock on that. So we can set up time frame, and then based on that the data is pulled across. So it's a dynamic report that comes across, and then populates the whole report sections accordingly. Yeah, thanks.
Yep, as you said, like so yeah, if you want to show logs from like let's say 2 months ago or something, so you can just click on this and I will show you logs from like 2 months ago. I mean, you'll have to scroll all the way back, but yeah, I will show you the logs for a certain amount of time. Just so you, if you want to show like you were being compliant within a certain time period, you can use this available tool to show all those logs and data. So, so this is our HIPAA mapping guide. As I mentioned, we have a set pattern so that it's consistent with for both the user and the auditor. So we have our own compliance. We have CCF. We have our tools and platforms that we provide the user with to help you achieve compliance with a particular framework. which in this case is HIPAA. HIPAA is a framework that deals in physical healthcare, not just physical, just healthcare sector. So any kind of data that is related to the doctors, the patients, the hospitals, any kind of network within those area, those are fall under the HIPAA compliance, and every healthcare organization needs to be compliant with HIPAA. So same thing, we have our own summary, how many controls there are, how many controls we're compliant with, and then we show you the mapping guide. So security and privacy governance section, risk management and compliance, identification, authentication, security and awareness training. Then these are the controls. Each, as I mentioned earlier, each framework has its own regulations, requirements, and own set of um, controls, but they have their own numbering, allocation, and stuff like that. So then we have the map to a particular CCF control, and then using the BI 360 tool, we create our HIPAA report. So this is the introduction to HIPAA. The same thing as summary, a dashboard, map controls, and then we divide reports by their sections. So first section being security and privacy governance, any kind of vulnerability that have happened within that time period, any kind of vulnerabilities that were worthy of remediation, like a high critical vulnerability or something. Incident responses, like if something happened, how long was it, how long did it take to remediate that. Then we have risk management and compliance. So any kind of data processing, like any if someone basically downloaded a set of data that they did not should not have access to, any kind of malware or any kind of thing that fall like traffic flow, abnormal traffic flow, or stuff like that fall under like prohibited activity monitoring, system security monitoring, all those fall under security. Identification and authentication falls with like least privileges, access to the servers and the machines. Security awareness and training, like teaching your or training your employees to be sure that nothing, if they're accessing something that should not be run on your local network, stuff like that. Incident response. As I mentioned, like, so each framework has their own sets of regulations. So sometimes um, incident response for HIPAA or PCI might be in some other section, and for HIPAA it might be in some other section. So that is that helps us using our CCF to just basically correlate instead of having to go through all of the controls and frameworks and creating a KPI for separately based on their sections and organization. So those were two of the more prevalent ones. We also such as SEBI, which is about um, Indian what's it called, security market and stuff like that. So basically stock exchanges, depositories, intermediaries, things like that. And same thing, we have our summary, we have our controls, and yeah, say we have our introduction here, we have number of controls, we have summary, we have the mapped, and then we assign them and allocate them by their sections. So I think you guys should be able to understand how these frameworks are being reports are being generated and how they're being compiled. So yeah, this was it from me personally. If you have any questions, please reach out to your support people, like support clients, and yeah, this is it for me. Thank you. Please take over, Maggie.
Recording stopped.
Certainly, Nishant. Thank you so much for your presentation, and you as well, Arka. We've now, so we can reconvene at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you very much for participating so far. As always, remember to put any questions in the Q&A function. Recordings will be available later this week or next week, and certification exam will be at the end